It is Thursday, June 25th, 2020. This is Poetry After Dark. My name is Harold Delaney. I am your partially poet, partially curator of poems for this evening. If you are watching this, I will also say that I would like to congratulate all of the graduates of the Bowen High School class of 2020, because today is graduation. And they deserve that. Now, before I begin, I put out a call to some of my friends today. You see, when I would do this in a circuit or in a poetry night, I would often come up and just do poetry about nothing. I'd ask the people in front of me, hey, give me an idea. A prompt, as you would. And I would say a poem at that time about that prompt. Whatever came to mind. Today I was given two prompts. One by Jade Grillo, and one by Sean Jaffe. I will be starting with Sean Jaffe's, as this has been on my mind for a bit. So Sean Jaffe's poem request was a poem about winning a wrestling match. And I've got a poem about wrestling that I started writing the moment he said it. So I've got nothing written down. It's all coming off the top of my head. Our first poem tonight is an Unnamed Yet poem requested by Sean Jaffe. Mike Quackenbush is down for the count. 1, 2... Normally at this point there'd be a kick-out. Something would come and save him. Something would come and save all of them. It's what consistently happens in the field of wrestling. Someone who we all think is a good guy comes close to winning the match, and then he wins. Or comes close to losing the match, and then something stops it. Kick out at 2.35. Kick out at 2.99. But in the world of pro wrestling, there are a lot of people who do not win. There are a lot of people who've spent a very long time thinking that the only way for them to get ahead, the only way for them to stay true to themselves, is to be silent about the things that hurt them the most. 1, 2, 3. Speak out. That was the end of that poem. If you are not aware, this week has been the epicenter of professional wrestling's Me Too moment, which is wonderful. And it's something that wonderful in a way that the people who are hurting don't have to hold their silence anymore. I am always going to be an advocate for sexual assault survivors, and I will always be an advocate for anyone who needs help, and I'm always here to listen and to learn. And at this moment in time, the people who have been hurt are coming out and speaking out against their abusers, and I think that is wonderful. And I hope that it stops the rampant problems in the wrestling industry going forward. That's that. Now, with that, I have here a list of poems that you're not supposed to read aloud to children in the Bowen School District. And I agree with that. Most of these are not for kids. And I do a poetry read for kids every Friday morning, but it's Thursday night and it's after dark, so let's start going through these poems, shall we? The ones that are valid and wonderful. And I think that we should start with something from Sappho. He is more than a hero. He is a god in my eyes. The man who is allowed to sit beside you. He who listens intimately to the sweet murmur of your voice, the enticing laughter that makes my own heart beat fast. If I meet you suddenly, I can't speak. My tongue is broken, a thin flame runs under my skin, seeing nothing, hearing only my own ears drumming. A drip with sweat, trembling shakes my body, and I turn paler than dried grass. At such times, death isn't far from me. That was He Is More Than a Hero by Sappho. Let's make this as gay as we can, shall we? Now, I need to open this up so I have the next two poems after that. I have a different poetry anthology, which I've been wanting to get to, which is called Poetry Like Bread. It's wonderful. There are a lot of poems in different languages, and I can't read them in their natural habitat. That's not right. Those aren't the right words. I can't read them in their natural language. So there's a part of me that will want to read the English versions of them eventually, but it feels like I need to hold back on that, if that makes sense. I don't want to undo anything, or what's the word? I don't want to step out of place and read something in a way that does not do the original justice. So, with that, I do have two poems from this collection. One by a woman named Naomi. I'm gonna mess this up. Ayala. Naomi Ayala's poem called Poverty. And then I will continue with one more from Poetry Like Bread, or two more from Poetry Like Bread. I'm going to be going and switching back and forth. Now, Poverty, which is a poem, and is poetry, by Naomi Ayala. It gives you pigeon eyes, makes you brave as a cracked slate with all the weight of a house on top. It bids you hold out your quaky hand through bittersweet temptations. You dream of it as sick, silvery fish between your hands, wide-eyed and breathless, but it circles your bleeding feet like sharks. At evening time, between lampposts and garbage drums, turned over into the wind, poverty is black ice or a train whose departure you miss, whistling at you in the distance. Your will is chalky on your tongue like aspirin, and patience hangs like frayed dreads down your back. Morning bends its scalpel sharp pain in the rib cage. Love's sulfur-dazed eyes. 2 tea bags in your wallet for when the day is done, and poverty at your feet like a hungry dog laps up the sweat of your calves. You come and go not speaking, fumbling for a ripcord through 1,000 leagues of wild wind. There's some beautiful alliteration in that piece. I'm gonna put this down for a second and then go back to my 100 best poems of all time. Great collection by Leslie Pottle. This is Requiem by Robert Louis Stevenson. Under the wide and starry night, dig the grave and let me lie. Glad did I live and gladly die, and I laid me down with a will. This be the verse you grave for me. Here he lies where he longed to be. Home is the sailor, home from sea, and the hunter, home from the hill. The following 3 poems, and it's where I'm going to end tonight. I feel like they all kind of speak to different parts of us, one of which is a requested poem by Gia Grillo, so I'm going to make up one on the spot for her, but I feel like it's going to have very much to do with everything else that's about to come. So, trust in me. The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon-handed glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor, the twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore, send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. It's The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. Our last poem from Poetry Like Bread by Kevin Bowen. This is Incoming. Don't let them kid you. The mind, no fool like the movies, doesn't wait for flash or screech, but moves of its own accord. Everyone hears the slight bump the mortars make as they kiss the tubes goodbye. When the furious rain, a fist driving home a message, boy, you don't belong here. On good nights they walk them in. You wait for them to fall. Stomach pinned so tight to the ground you might feel a woman's foot pace a kitchen floor in Brownsville. The hushed fall of a man lost in a cornfield in Michigan. A young girl's finger traced her lover's name on the beach in Cape Cod. But then the air is sucked straight up off the jungle floor, and the entire weight of Jupiter and her moons presses down on the back of a knee. In a moment, it's over. But it takes a lifetime to recover. Let out the last breath you took as you dove. This is why you'll see them sometimes. In malls. Men and women off in corners. The ways they stare through windows in silence. Our last poem is one that I was asked to read, or I should say, to create and recite. I don't have a name for it, because I'm making it up on the spot. I want to call it Tender Robotic Moments, though. Okay. If he can't step up to the plate, I feel as though I should be here. The robot says, speaking through your lips, trying your best to understand the things that you cannot deal with. His eyes scan my own, and then the road, and then the pulses, one in my chest, one in me, waiting. One waiting for the moment where maybe she will come to this world. And yet his eyes look different than yours. different from the ones that I think she may have. He may have? She. The tender tone does not befit the robot mind and the... He is not meant to feel this way. The assassin, the one pushed to too many limits, losing oneself, he is not meant to feel this. Is it you that causes him to? Or is it that his first connection to this world was someone who could not connect to this world, and so he found his way to a place he didn't know he belonged? I'm sorry you will never meet her. Him. Her. But maybe the world changed because you aren't here. And he, the one who shouldn't be, is willing to take a stand for something. And that, my friends, is our last poem. That poem is inspired by a situation happening in a role-playing game that we play every week called Commandroids, which is created by Sean and Megan and Joshua Jaffe. I want to add Josh in there because I feel like he has a lot more to do with Commandroids than we let on, but definitely created by Sean Jaffe, definitely superimposed and helped out by Megan and Josh, and all the other writers, Frisco, me, Taylor, Craig, Sean Foster. I just keep going, of all the people who have put out and helped with this book, and all the alpha gamers. There's like 24 of us now. It's insane. So I'm gonna wrap this up because you won't care about this last bit, but it's a poem inspired by a situation happening in that game, and I hope that Gia thinks that I did well enough on it. I guess I hope Emerson hopes I did well enough on it. Anyway, thank you for listening. If you have, it's been 18 minutes. It's a little bit too long, so I should shut up. And I should go, because, after all, this is After Dark.